My mom called me 4 times before she died. I didn't answer once. Not because I was busy, not because I didn't see it. I saw every single one. I watched her name light up and I let it ring out 4 times. And I still don't have a clean reason why. That's the part I keep coming back to. Not the grief, not the loss, the fact that I can't explain it, even to myself. Full script. My mom called me 4 times in the last week of her life. I let all 4 go to voicemail. I'm not saying this for sympathy. I'm saying it because it's the thing that lives in the back of my head every single day. And writing it down is the only thing I've found that makes it slightly easier to carry. It doesn't really make it easier, but I keep writing. She wasn't a phone call person. That should have been the first sign. She texted, short, practical. Did you eat? Wear a jacket. It's cold. Let me know when you're home. The kind of texts I'd read and half answer or leave unread because I always figured she knew I was fine. But that week, she called 4 times, 7 days. I told myself it was probably nothing urgent. Maybe she needed help with her phone, maybe holiday plans. I told myself I'd call her back on the weekend when I had time to actually sit down and talk. I didn't think it mattered. That's the part that bothers me now. I never called her back. The first call, Tuesday afternoon. I was in a meeting, genuinely. I watched her name come up, silenced it, sent a text. In a meeting, call you later. I didn't call her later. The second call, Thursday evening, out with friends. I saw her name, thought I'll get her when I'm home, put my phone away. I didn't call when I got home. Nothing felt urgent, and that's exactly why I ignored it. The third call, I don't remember what I was doing. That's the one that scares me the most. I've tried to reconstruct it 100 times, and I can't. Something completely forgettable. If it had mattered, I'd remember. I just looked at her name and let it ring out. I never listened to the voicemail. The fourth call was Friday night. I was on the couch. Some show I can't name now. I felt the buzz, looked at the screen, saw her name, and thought, I'm tired, I'll call her tomorrow. Saturday morning, my brother called me at 6 a.m. She was already gone before I understood what those 4 calls meant. I drove 2.5 hours to the hospital, alone. No music, no calls, just the road and the feeling of something shifting inside my chest that I couldn't name yet. The beginning of understanding that some things don't wait for you to be ready. She'd had a stroke, sudden, no warning anyone had seen. The doctor said it was fast, said she wasn't in pain, the kind of thing that's either true or kind, and you don't ask which because you're not ready for the answer either way. My mom and I weren't the kind of close where you talk every day. She wasn't a feelings person, neither am I. I got that from her. We talked practically. How's work? You doing okay? Yeah, fine. 15-minute calls. I thought that was just how we were. That we had an understanding that didn't need a lot of words. I don't know anymore if that was real or if I just told myself that because it was easier. What I know is how she showed up in other ways. She drove 4 hours to help me move into my first apartment and never said a word about her back. A back I only found out was bad after she was gone. She slipped cash into my jacket pocket every time I visited and acted confused when I brought it up. She kept a photo of me from 3rd grade on her refrigerator. 3rd grade. He never told her I noticed, never said, I see what you do. I know what it cost you. I just took it and assumed she knew. Maybe she did. Maybe she spent years waiting for me to say it out loud. I'll never know which one, She never woke up. 3 days on a ventilator. I sat with her for most of it. I held her hand. Her hands were smaller than I remembered, and I don't know when that happened. When my mom's hands stopped being the biggest hands in the room. I talked to her. I told her about the 3rd grade photo. I told her I knew about her back. I told her I was sorry I didn't call. Not just that week, but all the weeks before it. All the times I let it go to voicemail and told myself there was no rush. Told myself she knew without me saying it out loud. I don't know if she heard me. The doctors say sometimes they can. I've been holding on to that for 4 years. It's not much, but it's the only thing I have that doesn't hurt to hold. She died on a Tuesday, 3 days after my brother's call, 8 days after the last time she tried to reach me. The funeral was small. She would have wanted that. Afterward, people kept saying she knew you loved her, and I nodded, and I still don't know if that's true or just what people say, because the alternative is too heavy to hand someone at a funeral. Because here's what I know. She called me 4 times, and I'll never know what she wanted to say. That's not grief. Grief is just time and getting through it. This is something else. This is a question I will carry for the rest of my life with no answer coming. Maybe she was just checking in. Maybe she was already feeling off, tired, something wrong she couldn't name, and she wanted to hear her kid's voice. Maybe she just wanted to talk. I keep trying to land on one answer. I never do. I still have her number in my phone. I've opened my contacts and found her name and just looked at it. Not to call, just to look. A few months after she died, I almost did call it, just to hear the voicemail. Just her voice saying her own name. That was all I needed. I had my thumb on the call button for a full minute. I didn't call. I wasn't ready to hear her not answer. 8 months later, I deleted the voicemail she left after the 3rd call. Without listening to it. I don't have a reason. If I did, maybe this would be easier to live with. It was a regular afternoon. I was clearing out my voicemail, and it was in there, and I deleted it before I understood what I was doing. I wish I could say I stopped myself. I didn't. And then I sat there and knew immediately, completely, that I'd made a mistake I couldn't undo. One more in a long list. There's a version of me that picked up on Tuesday, walked out of that meeting, sat in his car, called her back, talked to her for 15 minutes about nothing, neighbors, weather, whatever she felt like talking about that day. That version of me didn't do anything heroic. He just answered the phone. I think about him more than I probably should. Some days I think about him and feel something close to peace, like at least he exists somewhere, even if it's not here. Most days I just feel the distance between us. This letter is 4 years too late and she'll never read it, but I wrote it because I needed to say somewhere that I know what I did. I know what I didn't do. I'm not asking for absolution. I'm just saying it out loud because carrying it silently hasn't made it any lighter. She called 4 times. I had 4 chances. And now I have the rest of my life to figure out how to be someone who knows that and keeps going anyway. Most days I manage. Some days I just open my contacts and look at her name. And I still don't call. Narrator. He never found out what she wanted to say. Maybe it was nothing. Maybe it was everything. There's someone in your phone right now whose call you've been putting off. How long have they been waiting?